You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 362 of Podketeers. This week, we talk about our possible return to the parks. Knott kicks off their centennial anniversary, and there was a guest in attendance that surprised some Disney fans. We learn more about the new tech coming to the WEB SLINGERS, a Spider-Man adventure attraction on Avengers Campus, and the additions that some people are calling attraction DLC, but is it required? We also asked the question, whose chicken do you prefer, Plaza Inn or Mrs. Knott's? Let us know what you prefer and we'll share who won the vote in next week's episode. Remember that you can share your thoughts and connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just search for Podketeers. We'd also love for you to join our small but growing community over on Discord. You can find an invite to join us in the blog post for this episode at podketeers.com/362. A huge thank you to everyone that contributed to our Chalk Walk fundraiser. You can still make donations for a little bit, even though the virtual Chalk Walk has already happened, using our direct link over at chalkwalk.org/teamboatwilly. If you want to learn more about our official charity team, we invite you to visit teamboatwilly.com. It's super easy to remember because it's just like Steamboat Willie, but without the S. Before we jump into the episode, I just want to take a moment to thank a very special group of listeners known as the FGP Squad, or as we call them, our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. As part of the FGP Squad family, you get some additional perks like exclusive discounts on Podketeers gear, additional content, access to our monthly happy hour calls, access to a special section of the Discord server, and more. For more info on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, we invite you to check out podketeers.com/FGP. And as always, a super special thank you goes out to the FGP Squad for their continued support. That's it. It's time to get this episode started. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us this week. If you're a new listener, welcome. And if you are a returning listener, thanks for hanging out again. We appreciate all of you. Here is episode 362 of Podketeers. Should have had more coffee before we started.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, just a little bit more.
A tad bit more.
Take a little more sip.
Oh God, what a weekend! I gotta tell you, I was super excited last week, going into the end of last week because the Chalk Walk was coming up. I don't even know where to start with this. One, I want to apologize because there was a couple of people that gave us some items. Some members of the FGP Squad, some family members gave me things that we were going to auction off. And truth be told, I have not been feeling great the last 5 weeks now. It's been pretty bad. I've done my best to mask it during recording, and I'm just thankful that everyone on the team has been, one, super helpful in helping carry the podcast for me, and two, really patient when I've had moments where I just couldn't go on for a moment or two because it hasn't been the greatest the last several weeks. And it all kind of came to this weird like smack up against the wall because I thought, you know what, I haven't really done much activity wise. Like, I think the Chalk Walk might be this like great opportunity to go out to a park, and we can't walk, in the park at Disneyland like we did in the past. That's why it was virtual, and I saw tons of people. They actually encouraged you to go out and do some walking. You can do the 3 blah blah miles. I forgot, like 3.25, 3.5 miles or something like that is what it normally is.
It's like a 5K, I think.
Yeah, it's a 5K.
Yeah.
And I figured, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to react, but it might be funny to see how it happens, because I haven't moved for a year. And so I started getting my stuff ready on Thursday, Friday. I was like, all right, cool. I got my masks and everything so I can go out and, face the world and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning, I'm trying to get some bottles of water, trying to get everything ready. I didn't realize that one of the bottles of water was leaking, and I tried to lift the bottles of water, and I slipped, and I twisted my back, and couldn't move. Okay? Most of this weekend, I spent sitting down most of the weekend, and I felt so bad because I really wanted to do this, but I was in pain. And on top of all the other stuff that was wrong, I'm like, really? Really? It's for the kids. Really? So I felt bad. And on top of that, like I said, I just haven't been feeling all that great the last few weeks. And I really didn't, I couldn't push myself enough to put up the graphics and create all the stuff that we normally put up. And so first of all, I just want to say thank you to all of you for, taking on the additional work and all the posts and everything that you guys have been doing, because I have not been able to do much. So
you got to take care of yourself, man. It's, this podcast is, it's a lot of work. And you do most of it, so you gotta.
Right.
You gotta take care of yourself. So we got stuff to do.
Well,
Right.
thank you, but like I said, I just felt so bad, because it was bad enough that, I didn't get all that stuff that was donated up. I didn't get all the graphics and everything, but I need to reach out to everybody that donated stuff, and I just need to ask them, like, do you want me to save this for the next chalk walk, or do you want, can we use it for any fundraiser that we do? Because we got at least another one that we're going to do later this year that I know that we could benefit from having some stuff that we could auction off. So if you donated anything, I'm so sorry if we didn't get to it. There was also another Funko that I was working on getting, and sadly that fell through. I was pretty bummed out because I thought that the Funko would be a nice item for us to auction off again, considering that the parks were reopening and everything. So it is what it is. I can't,
Life happens.
I know.
That's it.
I'm just done with how life has been happening.
I could agree with that.
I'm done. So here's, you guys know that I want to go back to Disneyland like as soon as possible. Right?
Amen.
I'm in this like weird spot where like I'm like 1 foot in the door, but like my other foot is like, whoa, slam the brakes on. Like you are not like healthy enough to just expose yourself to the world just yet. And I keep, like, I've been so optimistic about going back as early as possible. I don't know, like I feel like this time that the park has been open is kind of this weird sweet spot where it wasn't too crowded. You could find some distance if you needed it, but now park hours are extending, capacity is, increasing. The world apparently in California is going to be fully opening up in June. Or is it July 15th or June 15th?
June 15th
June
is
15th?
the current word.
So if that's the case, that means that anything after June 15th is going to be at pretty much the max capacity that is going to be allowed. Because Disney just wants to get as many people back in, which means it might not be the most optimal experience anymore. And depending on how I'm feeling, I don't know if I'm going to be able to risk that. But I was banking on feeling better to go back, early summer, so much so that my wife and I have officially purchased tickets.
Yeah.
That was my goal. From the beginning of the year when they first started talking about when they were going to reopen, like I kept telling myself, like, okay, I need to work on this. Like, I want to get back to Disneyland. In my head, somehow I got it stuck that I wanted to go back for Disneyland's birthday if possible, which was kind of that like weird, like how I wanted to hit level 40 at Sleeping Beauty Castle in Pokemon Go. There's no rhyme or reason for wanting it. It's just, I just thought it would be nice, right? Like, yeah, there's something to be said about going, for the first day that it's open and all sorts of that stuff. But for Disneyland's birthday, my first day back, I thought would be really special, right?
It's a special day.
Yeah. So now I'm like in this weird spot where I kind of have to play it by ear, and I have to kind of be really cautious about trying my best not to get sick over the next couple of weeks, and just working on me so that by the time that it's time for us to go, that I'll be like, all right, cool, I'm good, I can do this, right? And I don't know. I want to be optimistic about it. I don't want to be negative about it. But man, this weekend, it was one of those things where it was just like a domino effect and like one thing after another. And then I threw my back out on top of it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sleep all weekend. Wake me up when it's Monday. I'm done.
All right.
Getting old sucks.
Oh, yes,
And
it
there's
does.
no stopping it.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Dude, let's just put it out there in the universe. You're going to get better. This is going to happen. Let's think positive. I know it's going to be, you say it's a little optimistic. We're going to say that right now. You're going to feel better. You're going to get better. And you're going to enjoy that day at Disneyland.
You're going to do it. It's going to
Yes,
be
you are.
triumphant.
All right, I'm just
It's
going
gonna
to
be the
take
best
that.
day
I'm not even
ever.
going to offer a rebuttal. I'm just going to go with that. Yes. Yes.
Si se puede. You could do it.
Right? Which also, actually, it also leads me to apologizing to the FGP squad because we have not had a chance to do our May call because I've just been kind of out of commission. So I need to jump on the Discord server and schedule a call for us. If we can't do it the last weekend in May, then we'll probably do like first weekend of June, and then we'll probably do like another one shortly after. But yeah, it's been a crazy like month and a half with everything going on.
We didn't forget about you, FGP.
No, we have not.
never.
We have not. But yeah, that's my announcement for this week. I'm hoping that everything goes well. I'm hoping I get a chance to go. Special day. Looking forward to it. And there's so many celebrations going on. Knott's Berry Farm is actually kicking off their 100-year celebration. This last week, they had this like whole party for it. They had previews for the new Berry Tales attraction, which I want to briefly touch on. But, you know, I think as Disney fans, a lot of Disney fans, I think, fall into a couple of different buckets, right? Like you're like hardcore Disney and you can't even talk about anything else because how dare you? Right? And then there's like the theme park enthusiasts that like appreciate how they were made, the Imagineers, like the tech that goes behind it. And those are the people that also really love Disney, but love everything behind the curtain. So they don't care. And they know that people that have worked at Disney, like Imagineers, go on to work at things at Knott's Berry Farm and, you know, Universal, or you know, Bob Gurr did all those things in Las Vegas. You know, Josh Shipley talked about how he went and started his own theme park, you know, so that's another bucket. And then there's like the bucket of like just the thrill seekers, regardless of where it is, and they just got to go to everything, right? Or maybe we can put vloggers into that category. I don't know. Maybe it's unfair for me to say that, but you just want to do everything. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I think if you have the means to do it, I think that's awesome. I would love to do everything. Sometimes I think there's these, I don't want to call them wars, but like disputes that happen over like which park is better and which this and which that. And Knott's Berry Farm has this like crazy legacy going all the way back to the 1920s. And it's like they've called it America's first theme park, or was it right? Yeah, I think it was so. Like America's first theme park, something like that. But the point is that when it first started, you know, as this like berry farm by Walter Knott and his family, by the 1940s they had already expanded to like restaurants and all sorts of other things. And you know, they started doing like the log rides in the 60s, and it just became this full-blown amusement park that existed almost 50 years before Disneyland was even opened, right? And people sometimes forget that. And I don't think there's a lot of appreciation for it. I think there's a cluster of people that really do appreciate it. Like I said, they appreciate the history, they appreciate the food, because man, they got some damn good food at Knott's Berry Farm, I'll tell you that.
Fried chicken.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, this week when they were doing the opening day celebration, one of the things that I think was really surprising for a lot of people to see was that Josh D'Amaro showed up to celebrate the kickoff celebration for Knott's Berry Farm. when you think about all the executives that run all of the parks, they all know each other. You know, especially when you think about how closely a lot of these parks and franchises have been working throughout the pandemic to try to come up with a plan so that they can reopen the park safely and so that, you know, they can all kind of get back to business as usual. And to see that a guy like Josh D'Amaro, who you know is like breathes and sleeps and eats and whatever, like drinks Disney, right? Like he is all about it, shows it to the parks. One of the most, like, I look up to this guy. Like, he's one of the most admirable people that works for the Disney company, right? And for him to show up and tweet or post, I don't know if it was Instagram or Twitter, but, you know, he's like, I'm here to congratulate my friend, you know, the VP, John Storbeck of, you know, Knott's Berry Farm. Congratulations on their, you know, celebratory night. And I was like, wow, that is classy. I'm not even going to say it, but that's classy, right?
Right.
Like, it kind of blew me away because you're not used to saying things like this, you know, but I think the last year has united a lot more people in a way that I don't think it would have united us before. And yeah, I think there's still a lot of separation. I still think that there's a lot of garbage that goes on that kind of muddies that water. But in general, that's pretty awesome.
It is. It totally is. I mean, it puts the beef that you would see between fans, like, it sets a beautiful example. Like, you could be at different theme parks and still be friends and just enjoy everything. But that was pretty awesome considering it's just a sign of respect.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned, they did everything first. So to last that long, that's amazing.
And I'm sure that Josh D'Amaro's he is a very busy guy.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And taking his time out to go to Knott's, which, I mean, it's great. And, you know, these places can coexist. They all have different things. They all have their own unique thing that, you know, everybody can enjoy. You know, I still need to get to Knott's to go see my hillbillies that sadly aren't at Disneyland anymore.
Yeah.
One of these days.
Yeah. The last couple of times that we've gone, we've had the opportunity to see them, but because we've had so many kids with us, it was hard to get them to sit down to appreciate the show.
Yeah.
Because it's more really for us than it is for anything else.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you're right. I think they have different things. They can coexist. Before we move on, like, what are, like, a couple of things that you really like about Knott's Berry Farm? Like, is it the attractions? Is it the food? What is it about Knott's Berry Farm that each of you can appreciate or really enjoy?
Well, yeah, number one, my hillbillies, Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies, they're there. And that's one of the saddest days of my life when they left Disneyland.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been to Knott's, but I want to go dine at Mrs. Knott's chicken restaurant. That sounds fantastic. I've only heard great things. You know, recipe from 100 years ago. They're still using today. The new Berry Tales ride. I know, you know, the original Berry Tales has such a unique and great path designed by Rolly Crump. And they're still using a lot of his designs, you know, renewed in this new attraction. I'm excited to see as well. And then, you know, they have a great steam train too. That
Yeah.
I mean, it's humongous from what I understand, and that's what I'd look forward to because I'm not such into thrills, and I know they have a lot of coasters. As much as I'd like to go and see all the robots on the log flume ride, I don't know how much I would. But yeah, that's it for me. But yeah, mostly hillbillies.
Right on. Mel, what about you?
I think we're going to have the same answer, and it's going to be, I don't know the actual name. I am horrible with names, so I'm just going to say it's the
Calico Mine Train?
Yes, I think that goes in, yeah. That's it.
I knew what you were thinking.
Yeah, thank you.
I saw it in your eyes.
All I remember is being in awe, where the lights just come on and the music, like, it's a strong feeling, and yes, it's really strong, but it's different, and I appreciate that. So I'm gonna say that, and their funnel cakes. Their funnel
Oh,
cakes are
yes.
fantastic. Don't
Uh,
knock their food.
yeah,
Ooh.
yeah. I mean, there's so many things I feel like I appreciate about Knott's Berry Farm. I've had the opportunity to go many times because we have family and friends that come from out of town. They've never been there, and or we get discounts. Like some of our friends get military discounts, and we've been able to go. And I mean, there's so much about it that I appreciate. The train is one of my favorite things at Knott's Berry Farm. Like it is pretty much a full size train. It's not scaled down like any of the Disneyland Railroad trains are. And I love that they do like the little stage show on there. I don't know if they're gonna do any of that anytime soon, but they would do like a stage show where there was like bank robbers and everything.
Yeah.
It was
Is that Ghost? I think Ghost Town Alive is that what it's called?
Yeah.
They have to do a Ghost Town
So-
stuff. That's
and-
a big part of it.
and that area alone, I think, is so fantastic because
It's fun.
like Frontierland to me is, I don't know, like I know that it's modeled after the West, but because of how Disney keeps everything so pristine looking, it looks like the new Old West, right? It doesn't look like the Old West. The ghost town at Knott's Berry Farm looks like the Old West. And yeah, they've restored a lot of the stuff, but it looks like the Old West, right?
Yeah.
So I really love that when you combine it with, like you said, the Calico Mine Train attraction that they have. Man, I love it because it's the closest thing we have to nature's wonderland now, because we don't have anything like that at Disneyland. Like when you're riding it, like you said, that music comes on, you see all those stalagmites and stalactites as you're riding through. Man, it's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because during the March Mayhem in April that we were doing, when Nature's Wonderland was one of the contenders, FGP Squad member Brian sent me a message, and he's like, well, we kind of still have that, right? It kind of still exists at Knott's. I'm like, but it's not the Disneyland one. But I knew what he was talking about because he's right. I mean, it is the closest thing. If you never had the opportunity to see it, you kind of get like a really great idea of what it was like entering the Rainbow Caverns at Disneyland, back, 50 years ago at this point. So there's that. I love roller coasters. I've loved them my entire life. Before my wife and I had passes to Disneyland, we had passes to Magic Mountain for almost 7 or 8 years. For a while, we had them at the same time as Disney passes when we first started getting them. And then we realized that the drive to Anaheim was much better. It was a much shorter drive, and we enjoyed being at Disneyland a lot more than we did at Magic Mountain, and we just discontinued our Magic Mountain passes and just continued going to Disneyland. But I love the Silver Bullet roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. Ironically enough, never been on Ghost Rider. I've never been on their wooden coaster before.
It's fun.
Yeah. And then the only other thing that I've never had an opportunity to do at Knott's is their Halloween thing. Like I've never been to Knott's Scary Farm. Yeah. So
We gotta do this.
yeah. So I mean, there's definitely things that I want to do. A lot of the things, like I don't really get a chance to do roller coasters when we're with the kids because they've always been too small. They can't ride, and I can't ride with my wife because then who's going to take care of the kids if we're there by ourselves? And it's a thing, right? And I don't know. I think as the older they get, hopefully I can still tolerate being on a roller coaster so that I can enjoy it with them. And yeah, I mean, there's so much to appreciate. So many good things to eat. I'm like drooling thinking about it. That chicken, Andrew, I'm gonna tell you, man, it gives Plaza Inn a run for its money.
That's what I've heard. I'm excited. I mean, I know you can just go there to get chicken, right?
Oh yeah,
I
right.
think you can.
Yeah.
There's an exterior entrance.
Yeah.
So you can just go and get chicken. Yeah. So I might just have to do that.
That's
Even if I
what
don't
we
have a
should
ticket to
do.
Knott's, just go take a chicken run.
That's what we should do. Like when you come to town,
Yeah.
we'll just all
Yeah.
grab some dinner, and we'll just all like we can. It gets really packed in there, by the way. And I know that as the state loosens up its guidelines, I think it's going to be super packed for a really long time. But we can get it and take it to a park or something and just have like a picnic somewhere. And we can still enjoy it. It's going to taste just as good. I guarantee you.
All right, let's do it. And you know what? Or you can just, next time you go and you want to ride the roller coasters, just bring me along and I can babysit the kids. Because I'm a big chicken and I won't go on any of the roller coasters either.
He won't.
If they're too short and I'm too scared, and it'll all work out. And I can
You know
hold
what?
bags.
I will take you up on that offer.
Okay, great.
I will take you up on that offer. And I will get you funnel cake so you can enjoy it while you're watching us scream our heads off.
Sounds
Score.
fantastic.
Yes.
That's a deal.
Yes. If you had an opportunity to go to Knott's Berry Farm at any time, let us know what your favorite part is, because, like I said, these parks, they all have a legacy. You know, they all function around each other. There's cross fandoms, right?
Yeah.
That's why sometimes we get Disney bounds that look like Harry Potter characters and vice versa. And I don't know. I think when you just like to geek out on stuff, like, why do you have to label it? Just be a fan, right?
Just have fun.
Just
We're
have
here
fun.
to have fun,
Exactly.
man.
Exactly.
Just have fun. So, anyway, thought it was super cool that Josh Tomorrow was there. Congratulations to Knott's Berry Farm. I believe their celebration is going to be running something like May through August or September or something like that. So, I don't know the dates, but if I find them, I'll put them up in the blog post, or we'll put up a thing on Instagram so that you know. And again, join the conversation. Let us know what your favorite thing about Knott's Berry Farm is if you've had a chance to go. And I think we've had this conversation before on the podcast. I don't know if we put it out there for everybody else to answer, but if you've had the Plaza Inn chicken and you've had the one from Mrs. Knott's, and both pieces of chicken, both plates of chicken, these chicken dinners were both falling off a cliff, which one would you save? Which one would you save?
Dun, dun, dun.
That's right. We'll put up a thing on Instagram and you guys can vote for it, because I think they both have their merits. But it would just be fun to see, what people think.
I'll give you my opinion once I try Mrs. Knott's, because that
you're good.
Plaza Inn, man, that's some good stuff.
Yeah.
With those extra mashed potatoes.
So good. So good. Have you
You
ever...
know what? Speaking of Josh Tomorrow. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, before you ask, have you ever had the Plaza Inn chicken with some waffles?
No.
Oh my
do they have it for
God.
breakfast?
Andrew,
Or do you have to get a separate
just
waffle?
you gotta ask for the waffles separately, but you
Okay.
can get waffles. Oh my God!
Well, you know what? I've never had chicken and waffles ever in my life.
Ever.
So, ever in my life.
We have so
You're gonna
many
be a fan.
adventures to go on, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wild ride, man.
It is. It's gonna be the wildest ride in a minivan. I don't have a minivan, by the way. I don't know why that came out of my
Neither do
mouth.
but
So I'm actually.
you got to hold on to your hats and glasses.
You do. I'm kind of against minivans, so I don't know why I said that, but whatever. It is what it is.
Into your insert car here.
Yeah. So you're saying, speaking of Josh Tomorrow,
Oh, yeah. Speaking of Josh Tomorrow, if anybody knows Josh Tomorrow, or Josh Tomorrow, I know you're listening. Anytime you want to come on, join us on the podcast, you're welcome. We'll love to have you anytime.
it's true. Just send me a text message. It'll be fine. We'll schedule it with your people, whatever we got to do. And I mean, if you don't have my number, just ask Bobby. He has it. He'll be able to hook you up with it. I've given him permission to give it to all of you. It's fine.
Hey, Bobby.
It's fine. So in general, aside from, if we could wrap up this conversation, aside from the fact that, the parks are going to have more crowds and everything, how do you feel about all of the restrictions being lifted, not having to wear masks in public places and all that stuff? How are you dealing with that right now?
I'm actually training myself, if that makes sense. Today, I actually walked out and to my car without a mask. Nobody was around, but I was like, I got to do this. I got to. I haven't been out. I'm like, baby steps. But
It's getting back into that mindset. It's weird. You train your brain. You don't walk out without a mask. Don't walk out the house without a mask. And
Right.
now it's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm just going here. I have a vaccine. Nobody's going to be there. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. All the calculations in your head.
Yeah, it feels like you have like the Iron Man HUD going on in front of your eyes the whole time, right? It's just like computing,
Scanning everything.
scanning who's around. I'm the same way. I know exactly how you feel. Don't worry about it. I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that everybody's going to feel okay with it when they feel okay with it. You can't rush it. It's not anything that you can just lightly jump into, especially when you're in a position where you have to take care of yourself a little bit more. And I know how you feel because I've done the same thing. I wouldn't step out of my house without a mask at all. Like even to go to the car, even to take the trash out to the curb when I was taking the trash out. And now I'm more comfortable with doing stuff like that, right? Like if I'm going to go grocery shopping, like I can drive all the way to the store and not have my mask on, and I'll put it on right before I walk in the store or something like that. So when we started talking to a couple of people about going back to Disneyland, they asked me, well, if you're planning on going back like in July or August, are you going to wear a mask? I said, heck yeah, I am. I said, but if you're vaccinated and other people are vaccinated, I was like, well, who's to guarantee that the other people are vaccinated? Who's to guarantee that they're just not saying it because they want to not wear a mask,
Right.
So I know what I can tolerate, like health-wise, and what I can't, right? And like I said, I'm taking steps to make sure that I'm going to be well enough to visit the park. And I mean, look, if it doesn't happen, then we'll just postpone it and we'll go later on, right? I mean, I'm going to do what I can to try to make it for that day because, it's a special day. But you're right. It's like a retraining your brain in order to step out into the world. And I know that there's tons of people that feel more comfortable with it. I'm glad. I'm glad more people are feeling comfortable with it because I think it's those people that feel comfortable with it with their Instagram posts and, with talking to other people that are going to help us get into a mindset of, don't worry, you're going to be okay. So yeah, little by little, I started joking that if I could just go get another COVID vaccine so that I can increase my efficacy, I'm like, I'll take another 2, please. And somebody was joking. Yeah. They told me like, well, yeah, but aren't you gonna feel sick again for like a day or two? I was like, I don't care. Like if my efficacy rate's gonna go up, give me 6 of them. I don't care. Give them all to me at once.
Yeah, one every other month. I'll go every other month.
It's just temporary compared to the real stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm bad with needles, but I'll go every other month if and get it if I can go back to Disneyland.
That's what I'm saying. I'm ready to go, man. So
it gets me my annual pass back. I'll do it.
Oh man, I'm so ready for an annual pass. I know we've been really spoiled about that, and they haven't really announced anything, but things are going to be different. I know they're already different, but I mean, at this point, I'm just looking forward to going back to the park. Just stepping through the turnstiles again and walking onto Main Street and just soaking in the magic, I think is going to be the best thing ever. And by then, there's going to be longer park hours. We're going to be able to stay in the evening. And because some of the restrictions are going to be lifted, they might start doing things like fireworks and stuff like that. There hasn't been an announcement for it, but little by little, Walt Disney World has started reintroducing a lot of these things. That might not be the best way to gauge it because Disney World's kind of been on their own timeline for everything. So,
yeah, and I mean, they've been significantly behind Florida's, state regulations too. They've, Florida would say the state's open and they're still requiring masks indoors. And, they just recently lifted up masks outside. So who knows what Disneyland is going to do, that they could be, July could still be full masks for everybody depending on how they are planning it. It depends, it's, and there's still going to be state guidelines from what I understand anyway. There's still going to be state guidelines, even if there aren't, restrictions, they're still going to be putting out guidelines, after the June 15th.
Yeah.
Especially for masks. So we'll see what happens when June 15th happens.
Well, that timeline that you gave is actually pretty in line with what Bob Chapek was talking about recently. Like he did an interview with JP Morgan and he was talking about how he would like things to be closer to normal somewhere around like August or September, to try to get more people in, start removing some of those restrictions. So you're right. I mean, we might be wearing masks till the end of the year at Disneyland. But, if we keep getting mixed messages from like the CDC and the state, and like there needs to be some kind of synchronization that goes on with all of this, because when the CDC is saying, don't worry, you don't have to wear masks anymore if you're vaccinated, and then the state is saying, well, if you're in a big crowd of people, you still have to wear them, in public places, then, it's just going to cause problems. And as a guest, like, I could just not go, right? If it gets to a point where you just don't feel comfortable, you have that choice to say, as a guest, I just don't want to go. I'm going to postpone my trip for another month or two until I'm more comfortable.
Right.
But the people I feel bad for are the cast members that have to deal with all of this, because the last thing that you want is for cast members to have to fight with people about following regulations and then getting, snapped back at because, well, the CDC said this. Well, our rules are this and this, and the state's rules are this. Yeah, but this and this. And, you don't need that. That
was that mask rule outdoor changed overnight for cast members.
Yeah.
Like some people came in to work the next day and hadn't even heard about it.
I know. It was crazy. There was a funny TikTok that my wife showed me about that, where the CDC, I'm paraphrasing it because I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically the TikTok was this lady saying that she was surprised about the announcement and that the CDC was acting like a frustrated parent during the pandemic, where they were like, oh, you don't want masks? Okay, take them off. Do whatever you want. Eat all the cookies. Take off the masks. Do whatever you want. I was like, huh, interesting. So, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I want to be optimistic and just, get back to normal. I mean, we finally started hanging out with members of our family, which was something that we weren't able to do. Everyone's finally been vaccinated, and we've been hanging out with them a bit more. But the crowds thing, like, I still don't think I'm ready to go eat inside of a restaurant with other people. The crowds, even going grocery shopping, I'm still a little like, okay.
I am too.
It's weird. Like, it almost feels like most of the people that are vaccinated are the people still wearing masks.
Oh, yeah.
It's so weird. Like, they're the ones that can take them off, and they're the ones that are still wearing it. So
it's just we wired. That's it.
I know. All right, enough of this. Let's move on to more Disney talk. I'm just excited. Yeah. I'm trying to prepare myself, but I'm just excited to be able to go back to the park soon. And so it's all this stuff that's revolving around in my head. And anyway, let's move on.
Good vibes, good health going to you.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. Can we talk about this news from Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah.
Because,
let's geek out.
I want one.
I don't know why. I kind of feel like villains usually have like the best looking stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so the dark saber, it just looks cool. It just looks super cool. And now it's available at Galaxy's Edge. I know, I want one too. I'm like, dang, I can't go yet. But, over at Doc Onders, you could get this, and it's for what, $199, I believe.
200.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the picture, the one that's in the dark or at nighttime, and this thing just glows beautiful white, and you have like the black, the dark light to it. It just looks beautiful.
It's like the black core kind of center part, and then radiating. Looks pretty, like you would see in The Mandalorian where we saw it. It's pretty cool looking. It looks more like I guess I never really noticed, more like a katana or something like that, shaped like sword, as opposed to like the lightsabers where they're like kind of like dowel shaped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what it reminded me of? The Keyblades from Kingdom Hearts without the actual key extension because of how wide they are and like semi-flat. But I mean, I have to say it's kind of ingenious how they did it. there's a part of me that is kind of upset because we just saw Josh Tomorrow and we saw the rave video that we posted where they're debuting the brand new saber that extends whenever you turn it on. And I kind of feel like they didn't take advantage of that. Like, this saber with that technology would have been the perfect way to debut it. Like, not that the
Right.
other
Just
stuff
held it a little
wasn't.
longer.
Yeah. Like, not
But
that
you
it
know what?
wasn't, but it's kind of ingenious how they made this happen. Because you can't get black light.
Right. Right. But what if there is something in the works, or maybe this is just a test? Who knows? Disney does pretty magical things, so we'll just see.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
On the little technical sides of that the retractable lightsaber is, from what I understand, it's a spiraling something on the inside, so it kind of makes that tube shape,
Yeah.
and that's how it's extending. And with the darksaber being flat, they're gonna have to come up with a new something to do it. But I think they can do it. But it's gonna be different to make that do the same kind of retracting thing. But it looks fantastic.
I mean, it's a matter of doing a two-tube process, the same way that they did with this, right? Instead of having one expanding funnel so that when the air makes it expand, there's a second one inside that's the black one, but the one on the outside is the one that actually illuminates through LEDs and just carries the light to
Yeah.
show the black one inside. So it's the same concept. It's just the execution would be different.
Yeah, I just don't know how they get that flat. That flatness is the only thing that might be a little difficult. But I think they can do it.
I think so
they'll figure
too.
it out.
I think instead of taking, I think they just need to take some inspiration on how pagodas are built. If you think of how they're layered on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Here's what I think. I think we should develop it, and then we should take it to Imagineering and be like, here, we made this for you. And then where do we sit? Where's our new office?
I got
Where's
some
our
tools
pieces
in the
of paper to
garage
draw on?
and boxes of wire and some plastic. So
Got some bubble
figure this
tape
out.
in the trunk.
the gum.
Yeah, that stuff is great, man. It tastes
Some
good
hot
and it's
glue.
super sticky. Got a hot glue gun, Gorilla Glue.
Stick that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that, E40 epoxy or what is it?
The strong stuff.
Got JB Weld. Got everything.
That's funny. So yeah, Darksaber looks super cool. We'll post a picture or a video of it. We found several on YouTube that we'll post in the blog post for this episode if you're interested in taking a look at that. Podketeers.com/362. We'll also post a couple of pictures on Instagram for you to look at because it's nice. I really like it. But I look at it, it reminds me of that Keyblade, and then it just makes me sad because I feel like we need real Keyblades and Kingdom Hearts represented in the parks a little bit more. But, yeah, woe is me, I guess. It's funny. They have all this new tech coming out. Andrew, actually, you told us about what you had read at Avengers Campus, right? The new stuff that's coming for Spider-Man. Can you talk a little bit
Yeah.
about all that stuff?
Yeah, a lot of new Spider-Man news came out today, day of recording. Spider-Man, I'm going to screw up the name, but the new Spider-Man attraction is going to be using a virtual queue a la Rise of Resistance. So that'll be interesting. The Spider-Man attraction is officially called WEB SLINGERS, a Spider-Man adventure. What a mouthful that is.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Always got to fit in a colon into attraction names nowadays. And Web Slingers is in all caps for some reason. So anyway, it's having a
Because
virtual queue.
If you read it properly, it's Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure.
Virtual queues are going to be 7 a.m. and noon, just like Rise of Resistance. And it looks like from the Disney Parks blog post, you'll have to have a ticket and a DCA reservation, and you can make your reservation for a Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure from anywhere. You don't have to be in the park or near the park
That's nice.
to get that
That's
7 a.m.
cool.
I'm assuming probably the noon one as well. You won't have to be in the park, which makes it a little bit nicer. I'm assuming this isn't going to be as high of demand as, I mean, probably for the first few weeks or months, but it's not going to be, I mean, who am I to speak, but not going to be the Rise of Resistance. It's not
I think it is.
you know.
I think it is.
It may be.
I mean, with so many people trying to put that video up on YouTube, there's tons. Look, I say it tongue in cheek, but if I was there, I'd be trying to film that thing as early as possible to get it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, with so many people wanting to share it out for others that can't be in the park, of course it's going to be packed. And it's a brand new experience, so I think it's going to rival the wait times of Rise of the Resistance for at least the first 6 months to a year. And as long as they don't run into queue issues or attraction issues like they have with Rise of the Resistance, I think they might be able to churn through a lot more people every hour, which is always something that's on their mind, right? They want to try to get through as many people as possible.
And this looks, I mean, I don't know, we don't know capacity-wise, but it looks like it's probably going to be a more of a people eater capacity-wise, just by how the vehicles look. It looks more like Toy Story Mania kind of. It's probably going to be on that level of how many people per hour that can handle.
Yeah.
Just by the vehicles.
Yeah, I'm actually curious as to what the capacity is. I don't think I've read anything that talks about what the capacity is for it yet.
Well, they don't really like to share their what their capacities are.
Is there a pre-show to this, just like in Rise of the Resistance?
Oh, good question.
That's what I'm curious, because if not, this is going to be like Toy Story Mania. But I'm curious if there is, because I haven't heard anything, but I'm just curious.
I would highly doubt it, just because if you think about the space that they're putting it in, which is
true.
like mostly the Bugs Life Theater, and plus the little bit of add-on that they did, I don't know if they can fit in like the as elaborate of the like 3-step pre-show that
True. I didn't think about that.
5-step pre-show, but I'm sure there's going to be something. Like, we're going to have to get like a Sala on Indiana Jones room or something like that to welcome you to Web and recruit you to blast spider bots or whatever we're doing.
Yeah, there's got to be something. So they're either going to do it on screens throughout the queue, kind of like they do on Soarin', or when you're ready to board, they'll just have TV screens, or like Star Tours does the same thing. But man, if we can get like an animatronic of something up there, I think that would be pretty great.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Animatronic, who are we going to do? Happy. I don't know.
Oh, Happy would be good. Yes.
Happy Hogan
That would be
animatronic.
cute.
You know what would be great? And if this was like the secret thing that they end up revealing as part of this attraction. So there's been a lot of talk about bringing Tony Stark back into the MCU as part of the next phase, right? And so we already kind of had an inkling of Tony Stark at the end of the last phase, because he was a hologram. And he was able to communicate, he was able to interact and everything. In the comics, he basically already does that when he kind of mentors Riri Williams when she becomes Ironheart. So if that seed has already been planted, how awesome would it be if there's a Tony Stark hologram that leads you into the Web Slingers adventure?
Oh, if it's as good as the one that's in Rise of the Resistance?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I would not mind.
Right?
Well, and it's who knows where in timeline this takes place, if we're taking place in timeline, because the newly released art of the land, the map art, we do see Black Widow and Iron Man and Spider-Man on the art. So he might still be. This might take place before. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
If they're going to try and like line it up with the films, or if this is its own standalone thing using the same characters.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to keep an eye out for that, because you're right. Where it falls in the timeline is crucial to it. I mean, honestly, I'd be okay if it fell after the films. If all we got was like like a hologram Tony Stark, and then the Iron Man suit comes out to play, it can work on its own. It's got sufficient. And look at Ultron. That went well. That never backfired at all.
What, every 100 and however many suits come and fighting them?
Yeah, it's
nuts.
Fine. It'll be okay.
They can do all kinds of stuff by themselves.
Of course they can. They can sing, they can dance, they can perform in the Hollywood Studios lot, whatever you want them to do.
Perfect.
The
Chorus
theater,
line.
the Frozen's out, Iron Man robots are in.
The Ultron dance experience.
Ultron the musical.
Oh my god, that'd be so great. As long as they got James Spader back to come back and be Ultron, that would be like the greatest thing ever. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about this. I'm just excited about Avengers Campus altogether. Sadly, I will not be going to DCA if we end up going in July, because we had to make a choice. It's either Disneyland or California Adventure. We didn't get a park hopper. So we're going to spend most of the day, or pretty much all the time that we can, at Disneyland that day. So we're going to have to figure out when we're going to get an opportunity to go to DCA. I know that there's members of the FGP Squad that are planning on going to DCA. So maybe we can get some comments from them, or maybe if they're willing to come on the podcast and talk to us a little bit about their experience, that would be pretty awesome.
Robert Downey Jr., you can come and talk about it if you want on the podcast. Tom Holland, anybody who wants to come on the podcast, more than welcome.
I mean,
put it out there,
I could send a message to Rob, see if he wants to come out here and talk to us. Bobby, again, talk to Bobby. He's got my phone number. Just send me a text message. We'll hook you up, man.
He's got to be getting all the the updates on the land, right?
Of course.
That's something in his busy schedule he's really paying attention to.
Of course he is. Yeah, what was interesting about this new attraction? I saw that they were going to have like those web slinger things that are part of the attraction. What are they called? The power bands? The web power bands?
Add-ons. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, the web power bands, they look like this giant bug that's going to be attached to your arm, and they're going to have like a little button on the palm that you push it, and then it's going to shoot out a laser a la Toy Story Mania or the new Berry Tales attraction at Knott's Berry Farm, by the way. But what I found interesting was that that's like the base model, right? It's like $35 for just that base model that will allow you to play on the attraction. But then there's upgrades that you can get. There's going to be like a Ghost Spider, an Iron Man, a rescue version for an additional $30. The thing on, I think, Twitter and on Instagram was that people were calling this DLC for the attraction because you had to pay. They were kind of aligning it with how video games work these days, where you purchase the game for a set price and then you have to buy all the add-ons in order to enjoy it a little bit more. It was interesting to see all of the additional add-ons, but I have to say that it was particularly funny that Universal Studios caught on to what people were saying and they posted a tweet where they were talking about their Spider-Man attraction, and the tweet said, like, anti-gravity cannons, exploding pumpkins, stunning New York skyline, no DLC. And I was like, whoa! It's funny. I have to admit that we talk about how they all kind of work in solidarity, but it's kind of funny that they responded like that, because we've seen other companies do stuff like this, right? Like Wendy's is notorious for clapping back on Twitter, but this one was particularly funny to me. And of course, Twitter being what it is, within moments there was people posting the wands from the Wizarding World, like is this you over here? And then like later on they're like these bands from Super Mario World, these you too. I was like, oh no.
Got you.
I think the primary difference though is I don't know if it's required for you to play I don't know if in what you read, Andrew, because I haven't read the full article. I will admit I've seen I kind of skimmed it. I saw some of the pictures of it, but did it say that you're going to be able to get like an in-vehicle version of this if you want to play with that one, or can you only play if you have this?
Yeah, so the vehicle has a shooter built in, like Toy Story or something like that. And then this gives you the option, when you use this, you get more power-ups. I believe the base model, you get, instead of doing one web, it's like 3 webs at a time kind of thing.
Okay.
And then with the Iron Man version, you get his...
the repulsor?
The repulsor blasts out instead of web. So it kind of changes it up. But yeah, you'll still be able to play and do the attraction without purchasing anything. You just get kind of a boost your score.
Got it.
Get higher level stuff like that if you get the DLC for the attraction.
They must have heard too many people complaining that they could never hit that 999,999 on Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters.
Hey, I've done it like 5 times, so it's doable.
Yeah.
Have you really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been able to get like past level
you just
2.
You just have to, like, the ride has to stop in the right spot for like 10 minutes, and then you can do it. That's the trick.
So you can't do it on a normal ride through.
I've done it once on a normal ride through, but it's really, you got to know the secret spots, and I still don't think I know all the secret spots. But yeah, it's rough.
I've heard people claim that they've gotten it on a single ride through without it stopping, and I can't even get past like level 2 or 3. So I know some of the secret spots, but I have this thing coursing through my veins called caffeine that doesn't allow me to point the blaster and keep it steady long enough for me to like hit the little tiny Z's. That like, it just looks like it's going back and forth. Like, I can never keep it steady enough.
Good trick to use. They have a sight on them. They have a nice long little sight on them, and you kind of have to get yourself lined up. Line the sight up with your eye, and take a minute, a couple seconds, and line up where the dot is, on the blank wall or whatever. And then you'll be able to get a little more accurate. You look like a dork driving through with the gun right up by your eyeball. But it gets you more accurate.
I don't care if I look
shaken's
like a dork.
Not gonna.
I don't even care.
Yeah, I mean, I look like a dork walking around. So
I don't even care if I can hit that 999,909 million, whatever it is. I don't even care what I look like. I just want to get past level 2.
Yeah, Space Ranger training coming up.
Horrible. All right, that's on the list. We got to do that. So now we have to figure out what we're going to have to do for these web slinger things too, because I know that there was a lot of people that were complaining about this. That's once it was announced, and at first I thought it was required to play. So the fact that the attraction itself is already going to have a pre-built one so that you don't have to buy it, that's great, because you don't have to buy this, because I don't think everybody is going to want to buy this in order to, be on the attraction or
even have the means to get it.
Right.
It's,
right.
It's, $30 and you got 3 kids. Like, come on, man, that's a lot of money.
And if all the kids want the Iron Man one, that's 65, 75 bucks for each kid. Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Yep.
So
with no annual pass discount, that's whew.
No, we're just stacking them on now. So yeah, I'm glad that you don't need anything. I'm basically just calling this another toy that you can buy, in any of the shops. But it's a toy that allows you to interact with the things inside of the attraction. Whether or not it's going to allow you to interact with other things outside throughout Avengers Campus, I think is still, we're still waiting to see that. And who's to say that they won't, right? It's the novelty of having that thing. It's just like a wand at the Wizarding World. Like, it's not required, but if you like it, it's something that you can purchase to enhance your entertainment while you're there. And the wands are like $50.
Yeah, well, it's like, you remember during the 60th and before, when we had the paintbrushes and the Mickey wands with the ears, and it could do all that kind of fun stuff too. I mean, it worked for a few things, and the ears all lit up. It's all the same stuff. it's to enhance, I guess, to enhance your trip, but it's not required.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, and you get to see other people doing it too, and it'll be cool to even just see.
Yep, I agree.
But you know what, Hazen, before we get off this topic, can you explain who those other two characters are for the non-comic book people, Rescue and whoever the other one
Ghost
was?
Spider?
That are, yeah, because I don't know who they are. Do you?
So a Rescue is it's Pepper Potts. In
Oh, that's
Oh.
yeah,
okay.
she's the
That's
blue
at
version of
the
Iron
end
Man when
of-
she comes out.
Gotcha,
And
okay.
more than likely, Morgan will take on her suit in the next phase before she fully becomes Iron Man. So Rescue is
Okay.
Pepper's name in the costume. Spider Ghost is Gwen Stacy. So she's one of the
Okay.
alternate universe Spider-Man. And she was in Into the Spider-Verse as well.
Saw
So,
that. That was a
yeah.
good movie.
Yeah.
Okay. The white,
The
all white one,
with
right,
the
in that
hoodie.
film?
Yeah,
Okay.
she's Ghost
Yeah,
Spider.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
That's for all the people that are like me and don't know all the names of everybody.
So,
Oh no, I'm there with you.
but think about what I just said though. Spider Ghost is technically not part of the MCU. So the fact that they are
Yes.
introducing her and she's only been in Into the Spider-Verse, which is a Sony film, what does that mean for the MCU going
Oh.
forward? What does it mean for the upcoming Spider-Man? What does it mean for the Doctor Strange film?
Exactly. We're going to be seeing all kinds of stuff. You know what? Are we going to get to see Spider Ham in Multiverse?
That would be good. I would like to see Spider-Ham in the multiverse. Oh,
Yeah.
that entire film was just so good. I can't get it. You know, I'm gonna watch it after we're done recording today. That's how
It's a
good
fun
it was.
film.
Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
so well made. I love it so much. I think that's it. I think I need a rest, and I'm just gonna watch that film and just relax.
There
Oh,
you
yeah.
go.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have any thoughts on anything that we talked about in this episode, feel free to join the conversation. We invite you to join us over on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just search for Podketeers. You can also join us on our new Discord server. We have a growing community over on Discord. If you have not had an opportunity to join us, just head over to the blog post for the episode, podketeers.com/362. There is an invite link there. Just click on it. It'll open your Discord app and just follow the instructions to add yourself to the Discord server. If you're part of the FGP Squad, you also get a dedicated area for the FGP Squad. And speaking of which, this episode of Podketeers is brought to you by the FGP Squad and their support via Patreon. If you're wondering what the FGP Squad is, it's just a wonderful group of listeners that help us out with a monthly contribution. They call themselves the FGP Squad, but we officially call them our podcast Fairy Godparents. And if you want a little more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, you can head over to podketeers.com/FGP for more information. Being a part of the FGP Squad family gets you some additional perks, like some of the monthly happy hour calls that we were talking about earlier that I haven't been able to do this month. Sorry. Gets you discounts on Podketeers gear. It gets you additional content and more. So if you have any questions about it, hit us up. Just send us a message. You can even jump on the Discord server and ask some questions there about it. But again, podketeers.com/FGP is where you want to go for more information. And to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. And of course, finally, I mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. Thank you to everybody that joined us and helped donate for Team Boat Willie. Again, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to do those other auctions. I'm going to reach out to everyone that donated something, and I'll ask them if they want us to either hold on to them. I think we can still donate to the Chalk Walk for the next few weeks. I think even though the Chalk Walk is over, they usually, for like the month following the event, you can still donate. And if that's the case, then we'll just hold the auctions and we'll just continue doing them. Or there's always the option of holding on to them for our next event, because, you know, we'll be able to auction off and raise money for the next thing that Team Boat Willie does. More than likely, that is going to be the Walk for Hope in support of women's cancers coming up later in the year. So again, thank you so much to everybody that donated to the Chalk Walk. It was a different thing this year, doing it virtually. We hit just over half of our goal, which I think is fantastic. And you know, hopefully by the time that everything gets back to normal. I don't know if they're going to do a chalk walk this year, but I'm assuming that if the park is open, they should be able to. And if that's the case, I hope you can join us in person this year. We love what Chalk does. They've helped members of our family, our friends, and they do a really great job helping the kids. Chalk is the Children's Hospital of Orange County, and we're going to continue supporting them and what they do. So any questions, just reach out. Anything else before we wrap up this episode?
Nope.
You know what? If you want something fun, go look up Bruce Willis's music career.
Oh.
If you want something fun to listen to and you haven't heard it, go listen to Bruce Willis's music career. He has 2 albums, are on Spotify. I guess we could end with that, right? Go have a fun time. Bruce Willis's hit "Fun Time."
Yeah. So look, if you're thinking to yourself, wait a second, how does this even tie in to a Disney podcast? Well, I'll tell you. One of the producers that worked on a song from The Little Mermaid worked on this album with Bruce Willis. So you want your Disney tie-in? There it is. We could talk about it more on the next episode if you're curious about it. But go listen to that. It's
something
that happened.
Listen to Fun Time. Listen to Barnyard Boogie. Barnyard Boogie made me laugh so hard. If you want to hear Bruce Willis do some barnyard animal noises, go listen to Barnyard Boogie.
Yep. That's a thing that happened.
It sure did.
All right. That's it. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.